Sweden looks like a perfect country to many people. Ingvar Kamprad, who started IKEA, showed this. He lived a simple life, even with a lot of money. Many people in Sweden follow an idea called lagom. It means having just the right amount, not too much, not too little. This idea shapes how people live and even how things are designed. You can see this idea in things like IKEA furniture and H&M clothes. They are simple, easy to get, and for everyone. This way of life helps make Sweden a very happy country. It has one of the highest happiness scores in the world. Sweden also cares about the environment. 3 out of 4 parts of its electricity come from clean sources. 1 in 9 cars is electric, which is very high. Also, a lot of Sweden's money pays for free healthcare, help for people without jobs, and free education. This makes Sweden seem like an ideal country. But this perfect image has a hidden truth and a price. Sweden earned money during 2 big world wars. It stayed neutral but sold resources to both sides of the wars, which helped it become rich. Also, electric cars are good for the environment, but their batteries need a metal called cobalt. This cobalt often comes from mines where children work in other parts of the world. And not all Swedish factories outside Sweden use clean energy even today. This means the good image sometimes hides how resources from other countries are used. The problems are not only outside Sweden. Sweden also has problems inside the country now. For several years, the country has had a high threat from terror. Some city areas are now controlled by groups of criminals. Many Swedes do not feel safe in their own country today. The good image of Sweden is changing because of these problems inside. This book will look at how this country was built and why its good picture is becoming less clear. 2. A new start. A long time ago, in the early 20th century, Sweden was a poor country. Most people worked on farms, and life was hard. Many young Swedes left home to find better jobs in other countries, especially in the United States. They hoped for higher wages in America's growing factories. From the mid-19th century until the 1930s, about 1.5 million people moved away. This was a very big number, as Sweden only had about 5 million people then. Because many young people left, Sweden faced a problem. Its population was getting old. There were not enough young people to care for the elderly. To help old people, Sweden created the world's first universal pension system in 1913. This meant everyone would get some money in their old age. But this did not stop young people from leaving the country. Then 2 big wars came, World War I and World War II. Sweden stayed neutral and did not fight. This was a smart choice. Sweden sold important resources like timber and iron ore to both sides. For example, during World War I, 85% of its iron went to Germany. In World War II, Sweden sold iron to Germany and timber to Great Britain. While other countries went into debt, Sweden's money reserves almost doubled. The wars helped Sweden become rich and build its industries. After the wars, a new political group called the Social Democrats became very important. They wanted a strong country that helped its people. They believed in private businesses, but also in a government funded by high taxes. The money earned during the wars paid for many new social programs. In 1946, pensions got bigger. 1 year later, Sweden started free health care for everyone and paid sick leave. If a person got sick, the government would pay about 80% of their salary. This was a new idea for a capitalist country. Swedes thought it was fair. They paid high taxes, and the state took care of them when needed. Big companies like IKEA and Volvo also paid high taxes, often 50% or more. But the government helped them. It gave them educated workers and loans. The more these companies earned, the more taxes they paid, which helped the country grow. High taxes fueled Sweden's strong economy and good society. 3. Paying for happiness. After gaining wealth, Sweden began to build its unique society. This system became known as Swedish socialism. It was different from other socialist ideas seen in places like the Soviet Union. Sweden still believed in private companies and people owning their own businesses. However, it also strongly believed in a powerful government helping its citizens. Taxes were the most important part of this new system. In the 1970s, more than 45% of all the money made in the country came from taxes. This was a very high amount compared to many other nations. An average Swede gave more than half of their salary to the state. Richer people paid even more, sometimes up to 85% of their income in taxes. For many, giving so much money to the government might sound unfair, but it was key to their way of life. These very high taxes paid for many important services. The state provided free health care for everyone, starting in 1947. If a person got sick and could not work, the state would pay them about 80% of their regular salary. This was known as paid sick leave. Education was also completely free for all children and adults, from early school to university. People understood that by paying high taxes, the government would take care of them when they needed it. They saw this as a fair agreement, not just a handout. It created a sense of safety and shared responsibility among citizens. Big companies like the furniture giant IKEA and the car maker Volvo also paid high taxes. Their corporate tax rates were often more than 50% of their profits. But the state offered these businesses a special deal. Companies paid high taxes, and in return, the government gave them strong support. This included making sure there was a large number of educated workers ready to join the companies. The state also provided subsidized loans to help businesses grow. This created a strong cycle. Businesses earned more, paid more taxes, and the government used that money to help businesses grow even more. This model showed that high taxes did not stop the economy. They helped it. This approach helped Sweden build a society without big differences between rich and poor. Essential needs like doctors, schools, and money for older people were covered for everyone. This meant that even if people did not earn a huge salary, they could live a comfortable and secure life. Their biggest expenses were already paid for by the state, leading to a country with very little inequality. 4. Problems begin. In the 1970s, Sweden's strong economic system began to face big problems. First, the 1973 oil crisis made oil prices 4 times higher very quickly. Sweden bought much oil from other countries, so everything became expensive. The cost of living quickly went up over 10%. This was a difficult time. Second, new competition came from Asia. Countries like Japan and South Korea offered cheaper products using cheaper labor. Swedish businesses struggled to compete. For example, a large Swedish shipbuilding company lost a record amount of money. The government tried to help by spending more on jobs and infrastructure. They also weakened the Swedish money, the krona, many times. This made Swedish products cheaper for international buyers, which boosted exports for companies like Volvo. However, these actions were not enough. The government could not cut social benefits that people relied on, so they raised taxes even higher to get more money. Many people became very unhappy. In 1976, famous writer Astrid Lindgren wrote a story showing her own experience. Her tax rate on extra earnings was over 100%. Average people paid over 60% of their salary in taxes, with high earners paying over 80%. This public anger led the ruling political party to lose an election for the first time in 40 years. These very high taxes also caused important business founders to leave Sweden. Ingvar Kamprad, who started IKEA, moved to Switzerland in 1973. Erling Persson, the founder of H&M, also left the country. Swedish companies moved production abroad for cheaper labor, like H&M moving to Bangladesh in the 1980s. During these years, between 1970 and 1990, few new big Swedish companies were started. Business owners often focused more on avoiding taxes than on creating new ideas. High taxes, which once helped Sweden, were now causing major economic problems and slowing its growth. 5. A new idea. Sweden faced many economic problems. High taxes made some big companies and rich people leave the country. The government needed to find a new way for the economy to grow. It started to look for new ideas. The government decided to invest in new technology. It put a lot of money into computers for schools. It also worked to bring internet access to everyone, even people in small villages. This was a big change. By the year 2000, almost 80% of Swedes had internet access. This was more than in many other countries, like the United States. This strong digital foundation helped the country grow in new ways. With more computers and internet, a new kind of company started to appear. These were technology companies, often called unicorns if they became very valuable. These companies grew very fast and made a lot of money. The old system of social support also helped these new businesses. Sweden had a strong social safety net. This meant that if someone wanted to quit their job to start a new business, they had help. For example, people could take a 6-month leave from their job. If their new business did not work, they could return to their old job. If the business failed, people would still have free health care. Their children could still go to free schools. They could also get unemployment money for up to 1 year. This created a country where starting a new business was not very risky. People were not afraid to try new ideas. They knew the state would help them if they failed. This low-risk environment made many people want to become entrepreneurs. It helped a culture of starting new businesses grow. Soon, new and successful companies appeared. Skype was one of the first. It started in 2003. It became very popular very quickly. Just 2 years later, another big company, eBay, bought Skype for more than $2 billion. This showed that Sweden could create big, global tech companies. Other successful Swedish inventions included the popular video game Minecraft and the mobile game Candy Crush. Even when the world had money problems in 2008, Sweden did not suffer as much as other places. In that same year, Spotify began. It changed how people listen to music. Today, Spotify is a very big company around the world. 6. Big success, big sales. After finding a new path, Sweden saw many new companies grow. The country's strong social safety net helped. People felt safe to try new ideas because if they failed, they would still have support. This low-risk environment helped many entrepreneurs start their own businesses. One of the first big tech companies was Skype. It started in 2003 and quickly became famous for making calls over the internet. Its success was so big that only 2 years later, another large company, eBay, bought Skype for more than $2 billion. Sweden also created many other popular digital products. The video game Minecraft, which is played by millions of people worldwide, was made there. Also, a very popular mobile game called Candy Crush is a Swedish idea. In 2008, Spotify began. It changed the music industry with its unique freemium model, allowing people to listen to music for free with ads. Today, Spotify controls a big part of the global music streaming market. However, this success had a cost. For these companies to grow even bigger, they often had to sell parts of themselves or be bought by foreign owners. Spotify, for example, sold 1/5 of its shares to American investment companies. Minecraft was also sold to a very large American company, Microsoft. It was not just new tech companies that changed hands. Older, well-known Swedish businesses also faced this trend. In 1999, Volvo Cars, a famous car maker, was sold to Ford, an American company, for $6.5 billion. Then, in 2010, Ford sold Volvo Cars again, this time to Geely, a company from China. This second sale was for less than half the first price. Today, most Volvo Cars factories are in China, not in Sweden. This trend meant Sweden was slowly losing control over its economy. Many factories moved to other countries, especially in Asia, where costs were lower. The money and ownership of these successful companies often moved to other Western countries. In Sweden, what often remained were mostly offices for research and new ideas. This made Sweden's economy less strong and more dependent on decisions made outside the country. This loss of economic power was a big challenge for the nation. 7. New people, new problems. In 2015, many refugees came to Europe. They were from countries like Syria and Afghanistan, where there was war. Sweden, a country with about 10 million people, welcomed a large number of these migrants. By 2017, almost 1/5 of the people living in Sweden were born in another country. The Swedish way of life was built on an idea: everyone works, pays taxes, and helps the country. This system gives people many good things, like free healthcare, free education, and money if they are sick or cannot find work. It worked well when most people joined the workforce and contributed. However, many of the new people found it hard to get jobs. Some received benefits, free schooling and medical care, but they did not start working quickly. Today, many foreign-born people do not have jobs. Their unemployment rate is around 15 to 20%. For people born in Sweden, this rate is much lower, about 5 to 7%. This difference created a challenge for the system, as fewer people were paying taxes to support the benefits for everyone. Along with this change, there were new problems with safety. Experts from the National Center for Terrorist Threat Assessment said that some dangerous people came into the country with the refugees. These people saw Sweden as a rich Western country they wanted to harm. In the last 20 years, Sweden has seen a big increase in criminal bombings. It used to be one of the safest places, but now it has many such incidents. By 2021, the government named 61 areas as high-risk territories. In these places, police and other emergency workers sometimes need help from special forces to enter safely. This meant that the normal feeling of safety for many Swedes began to change. Public feelings about immigration started to shift. At first, many Swedes were welcoming. But as these new problems grew, more people became worried or unhappy. The government recognized this change. To help manage the situation, they even thought about offering money to migrants, up to $34,000 if they chose to go back to their home countries. The Prime Minister of Sweden said in 2023 that the country was suffering. The official terror threat level remained high. These new people brought new challenges, testing the Swedish model and changing how people lived and felt about their country. 8. The dream today. Today, the picture of Sweden is more complex. The special way the country runs things, often called the Swedish model, still helps many people. But it also faces new problems. The public sector, which means all the government jobs and services, has become very big. Almost 40% of all working people in Sweden have jobs with the government. A lot of the national money goes to keep this large system working. This means less money is left for new ideas or new businesses. The public sector helps share money, but it does not make new wealth. This can slow down how fast the country's economy grows. Also, the gap between rich and poor is growing again. Sweden used to be known for everyone being quite equal, but this is changing. Some very rich families still have great power and control over big companies. This makes the country less equal than it once was. Big Swedish companies, like the furniture store IKEA, have also found smart ways to avoid paying high taxes in Sweden. They use complicated company plans and register parts of their business in countries where taxes are much lower. This helps them save a lot of money, but it means less tax money for Sweden's public services. Moreover, many products from famous Swedish brands are not made in Sweden itself. More than half of what these companies sell comes from factories in other countries. These factories often use cheap labor and resources. For example, clothing company H&M has been criticized because its clothes are made by workers in poor countries who get very low pay. This helps Swedish companies keep costs low, but it raises questions about fairness. So, while Sweden shows a picture of a perfect dreamland with free education and health care for everyone, the reality is more complicated. These good things are true, and they help many people. But behind this image, there are challenges like rising inequality, the high cost of the public system, and reliance on labor from other nations. Sweden is working hard to deal with these issues. The country still has a strong economy and a good quality of life for many. But the idea of a simple, perfect society is not the whole story anymore. What do you think about the Swedish dream today? Do you believe it is still a good model for other countries to follow?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.